Okay, good afternoon, and we're very lucky to have a more relaxed session where we don't have to be that tense and that much into the concentration mode because we're going to ask 2 or 3 very simple questions from our session, mainly to the wonderful group who are sitting on my right and left, but also I think you can have some reactions because, as Dr. Mustafa was just telling me, in fact we could recoup at least 15 minutes that we've lost because of the previous session taking long. So this afternoon, the purpose is for us to remember together some of the good moments of ERF over the last 25 years, and also to think of the future, and in between to tell us something about how each one of those sitting on the podium feel they contributed with the help of belonging to the ERF community to informed policy or to capacity building or research itself in terms of the sharing of data and the community of researchers that form a very prestigious and branded ERF. In terms of the future, which is the third question, what are some future opportunities that are identified and that will make a difference? Of course, yesterday we had a good long meeting of the ERF Research Fellows, so already we've talked about where we could be going on the research front. We may want to offer ideas on links with other communities other than the researchers of the Middle East and North Africa, plus Turkey and Iran. So, I'm going to give you my response at the very beginning so that I've done with it, and it may also tell you how difficult the first stage of ERF was, the first 10 years that I experienced. So when I look at my own background and life, my career, I like to think of it as 5 stages. One that we all share, being students at university and getting to the professorship as something you look up to. So that's the second stage was my academic life. And then the ERF, which was one of the most exciting moments of my life when I was selected to be the managing director back in 1993. And it was, the networking opportunity, which I remember as one of the fondest memories I have. It's getting to know people from similar places, with similar cultures, with similar backgrounds and challenges, and the women and the men. It's like family, but at a distance. People from Sudan, people from Iran, people from Morocco, and I think we had a lot of very good such moments. In terms of my later obsession, it was Egypt. I thought I've been working on the Middle East and the ERF region, and I now have to make up for it for Egypt. So I went back to being advisor to a lot of ministers in a lot of capacities. It was the era of Egypt's first huge economic reform program in the 90s. But I got engaged with the UNDP Human Development Report. I was responsible as the key author 4 times, and there were 4 very interesting topics because it was always a thematic piece of research and writing and reporting. One was on decentralization. Obviously, the work I had done with all of you at ERF was of tremendous importance, because what you earn mostly is the contrast and the similarities. You know, how much of, I would have never believed until I knew each and every one of you in this context of how women have exactly the same plight, whether you're talking of Sudan or Egypt or any other country in the region. The very low participation rate, the quality of education. I mean, so many things we share in common, and it helps to know that therefore there must be something that we can find in common that is a solution, or that is the problem, the constraint, the challenge. And finally, with the Arab Spring, I still think of it as an Arab Spring for me because it made me feel so much younger. I felt like I was one of those students in Medan al-Tahrir, and I was involved very much with the Al-Hiwar al-Watani, the national dialogue. And I remember Ahmed Galal was selected. It was a committee of 5 who were chairing the 5 different dimensions, and he was responsible for the economy. I was responsible for the social situation. And that was the brainchild of what I'm doing now and since, which is the network for the development of the south of Egypt, the Said. So that's my experience, and I think I've become a social entrepreneur. I never knew what it meant. Now I think I can explain it. So I'm very glad to have beside me the 3 generations, one would say, maybe I'm the oldest, but those who went into policy making in a big way. I'm talking of Dr. Youssef El Ibrahim and Dr. Mustafa Nabli. And maybe we want them to give us the policy perspective on how their acquaintance, their dealing with ERF has in any way impacted on the policy making in their countries or in the region, in other countries in the region. Starting with Dr. Youssef El Ibrahim. I remember I knew him when he was Minister, I believe, of Finance, but he was also Minister of Planning at some point in Kuwait, Administrative Development, so that makes 3, Education and Higher Education, and again he was responsible for, and he is responsible now, for the Diwan Amiri, and that is again a ministerial position. He has his PhD in economics from Claremont Graduate University, and he's authored a number of publications, reports, research papers, and books. So if he wants to give us some of his take, and also he's worked very much with the Kuwait Foundation on its board, as well as Invest Corp. So he really has a hand in business, in academia. He was the dean of the business school at Kuwait University. And he has also this cultural aspect as director of the cultural division of the embassy of the state of Kuwait in Washington. So we very much want to hear of his take on where ERF